All right. Welcome in. What's going on? Let me fix the camera. There we are. Happy Friday, August 1st. Joshua, thank you, Joshua. Thank you, Joshua. Good morning, as always. Yes, Tony the Pod Boss, the like button is working. The like button is functional. Make sure you guys check it out. Make sure it's working. Make sure the button's working. Welcome in. Amazon, Apple, major fireworks in the market. Major fireworks. Fireworks have been launched. Major volatility coming in this morning, and we're going to talk about it. Major levels, huge, right? Big gap down in the market. Big gap down in the market this morning. I have my little screen over here on the left or the right. It's the right for me. It's the left for you. Rav is not here today, but he's going to be here. He'll be here for live trading, but he'll also be here for our for next week for our pre-market. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. It's a beautiful Friday morning. It is August 1st. Not so beautiful in the market, though. There's blood in the streets this morning. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on, okay? We had some major market news, major market volatility, a little bit of a market correction, people are saying. And this is, to be honest with you, this is a necessary part of the market, right? The market just can't always go up. We spoke a little bit about downside yesterday, pre-market. We spoke about, first of all, here's what we talked about yesterday. I think this is really important. Okay, we're gonna jump right into it, guys. We have, how many people do we have in here this morning? We have 500 people here this morning. It's Friday. It's August 1st. Everyone's sleeping in this morning, which is okay. You guys are here. But the most important part about sort of yesterday's session was it was twofold. Okay, it was gap up in the market, right? I mean, this is what it was, and let's just sort of talk a little bit about this now, and then you know what? Let's not do that. We'll go to econ data, then we'll come back to charts because this is so important. I want to make sure everyone's here when we start talking about SPY. So we'll take a second. We'll give it like 2 minutes. We'll go back to SPY in a second. Okay, we'll go over SPY today. ES, Qs, QQQ major levels yesterday, 572. Okay, we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to discuss our levels on the Nvidia chart, Nvidia 180, okay, major level failing. We're going to talk about Amazon post earnings. Amazon post earnings, incredible downside, okay? This is what's going on. We had some headwinds here, right? You're seeing a little bit of a record beat on Amazon. The question is, why is Amazon moving lower with the record beat? Well, it's multifaceted, but the main thing is that they are suffering from tariffs, right? There's a massive sort of gray cloud, right, above Amazon, and it is a tariff. So that's what's impacting here on Amazon. That's causing some downside, some downward pressure on Amazon. Now, I think it's interesting for me, and I'll just say this right now, is I think Amazon presents a really unique buying opportunity, right? I don't think this downside in Amazon is something that we should be scared of. I really don't think so. I know it's a little bit weird to see this, but reading Amazon's earnings, it's actually incredible what they're doing. Okay, this is one of a record beat in AWS. That to me is more important than anything else. Amazon's going to be a big part of my portfolio going into 2025, into 2026. Okay, I think it's going to be a really important a buy for me, and I'm going to start to get into this as the market sells off. And if Amazon continues to sell, Amazon's going to be a really nice long-term opportunity because again, the tariffs are not going to be forever, right? We'll go over Apple. Apple is sustaining higher. Apple is maintaining higher despite also tariff headwinds, okay? Tesla, we'll talk about Tesla today. Tesla in a pretty big move this morning, right? Pretty big move this morning in yesterday's session, under 318.50, very aggressive downside. And we'll talk about Tesla today in the eyes of, with the mindset that we are not biased today, okay? We saw some downward pressure yesterday in SPY. We see some crazy gap downs, but we're just gonna talk about everything with the idea of levels and we're going to talk about the idea of the short term and also the long term, because there's two things to talk about today's session across the board on SPY, on Qs, on Nvidia, on Amazon, Apple, Tesla, AMD, etc. Okay, so that's the game plan for today's session. In terms of economic data this morning, there is some big economic data. At 8:30 a.m., which is about 10 minutes ago, we had some data. That was the employment data. In about an hour and 5 minutes, we're also going to have new data. That's going to be the PMI manufacturing. We also have construction spending at 10 o'clock and consumer sentiment at 10 o'clock as well. So pretty big data day today as well. I think I said the word data 10 times in the last 30 seconds, but it's just important. Okay, we have 8:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock, fireworks today's session, right? Now, we have 600 people here this morning, and people are still sleeping in. It's 8:40 a.m. Everyone's sleeping in. I wonder, did I forget to, you know what I did? I didn't post it. I forgot to post it in my other chat. That's what it was. Okay, so let me just get this posted as well. I realize what's going on here. There you go. Okay, cool. So now we're good. Now everyone's going to trickle in. I was wondering why we had about half the amount of people we usually have. So we can now get started. Let's get started, guys. Let's go over SPY's chart, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. So yesterday, with the gap up in the market on SPY, what did we talk about yesterday on SPY? So yesterday on SPY, we mentioned the idea of don't get caught up in a gap up, right? We said if SPY gaps up today, which was the gap up on Thursday, that the most probable thing to do is look for pullback longs. Okay, look for pullback longs at 638, 639. Look for pullback longs at 636, 637, right? And this was your two big pullback longs was number one, right? Number one and number two, as we spoke about yesterday's session. And we said if we lost number two, then don't be long anymore, right? This is the idea, is that if we lost that number two demand, that no longer be interested in going long. And that was the idea yesterday off the open. It was opening bell demand bounces worked. If you were patient yesterday, you caught some nice demand bounces. 637 was actually the main one. This was the main demand bounce yesterday in SPY. We did pull back to it and reversed off of it. Now, once we lost that level, once we lost this level at demand 2 here at 637, the market began to enter that downward spiral. And this was something that we prepped for on our Thursday morning session. If you guys recall, remember we talked about the idea of downside, right? The initial upside of demand bounces, but we also spoke about the idea of downside. Now, downside was not a play that I caught yesterday. I didn't catch puts yesterday, but I sure as hell did not go long in the market after the first demand bounce. Because once we bounced the first time on SPY, then failed again below 638, 639 yesterday, and back below 637 again, at that moment, this was a market that you just look for structured puts, and you look for downward moves all the way back into demand here, which was 631.50. So the market basically was initially an opening bell demand play, right? But then once demand lost, it became one of those systematic sell days. This is a classic session, right? This is a very classic session, and it is an easy session to really read. Now, today's session here on SPY, you're seeing, again, the continuation gap down from the big downside day on Thursday morning, or Thursday session. Now, if you look at the market here, there's two ways to look at the market. The first way to review the market is to say, well, you know what? Just like any gap down or gap up in the market, we are going to trade this the same exact way. We should be looking for a short-term rejection play here at the previous day low, 631.5 being the big level for puts today. So that's what I'm watching today for shorts, is to see can we retrace back into 631.50, and if we do, we can look for some short-term put plays here at our demand, at our supply this morning, which was our demand yesterday, now supply. This is my top watch for shorts today. Okay, can we pop into this level here today? And if we do fail below 631.5, we are bearish for a downside play back into 628, back into 625. That's the first sort of rejection play I see here in SPY. Now, if SPY does break and hold above this 631.50 here, if this happens, right, then upside the market, right? So the best case scenario would be something like this. It would be, hey, we reject here 631.5, downward play. But then eventually, if you do reclaim, you know that it's no longer a bear play anymore, and you can look for longs off this level for upside play session. Okay, so this is what I'll be watching for today: either downside rejections off 631.50 or short-term reclaims above this level for longs back higher. That's what I'm watching for in the short term. Okay, in the long term, and this is very important. Here's the long-term view on SPY. The long-term view on SPY is that this pullback is a necessary thing. Okay, we need to see this pullback, and the question becomes, where does this need to pull back to? If you look at the market on and you know what we're going to do here? Let's just make it very simple. Let's just remove all of our drawings here, and let's just talk about SPY on the daily time frame for a second, and let's just look at the previous highs back here on the daily. You must welcome this pullback with open arms. Okay, you must welcome this pullback with open arms in the short term, in the long term, in the medium term, right? 613 is the pullback level that we broke above back in June 30th, back June 29th, end of June. We broke above it, and we never saw the level test again. It was a beautiful breakout, but we never pulled back to that level. Therefore, the pullback to 613, the market selling to 613, is a very strong thesis, right? There is a very strong thesis that the market has to pull back to 613. Am I saying the market will go up or down today? I'm not saying that. I'm saying specifically the market at some point in the daily time frame must pull back to 613 level. Okay, it may look like this. This is what may happen, right? You may see some downside, you may see some upside today, right, back in the supply zone. It could be a green day today, right, back in the supply, 631.5. But then you probably see us lower on Monday or Tuesday. And then again, you see a little green day on Wednesday, but then lower on Thursday, Friday, right? So the idea basically is that we are ebbing and flowing to our 613 demand. That's what the market looks like it's doing here in the daily time frame, which again would be a bullish play for your long-term entries. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Basically, I'm saying the short-term view is the supply here, right? We can look for puts off supply, but again, be open to upside today because again, market moved down a lot yesterday, and I wouldn't be surprised if we just sort of retraced higher back in the supply, right? That would be normal. But the long-term view is that we probably do pull back to demand. Remember, right? This is super important. If you're looking at a daily candle, right? The daily candle may look like this: downward, 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 right? So this could be like, for example, this could be one candle, two candle, three candle, four candle, five candle, six candle, seven candle, eight candle, right? Within this downward spiral over the period of a few days or a few weeks, you do see some sessions that are green, right? So I'm not saying I'm not saying that we're going to 613 today in SPY and that to sell all of your long term because we're going there today. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in the long term view here on the S&Ps that we probably do go back to that 613. That's the idea here, is we probably do see that test at some point in time. But again, correlating that back to the small intraday time frame, it's not going to be unexpected to see us pop today back into 631.5, which would be, again, we'd be green in the day today, back in the supply zone, and that's where we're looking for shorts. Because again, even though there's a gap down in the market, this is what I'm watching for today here on SPY is, hey, can we reject here 631.50? And I don't want to be short back into this level either, because 625 is also a big support as well. If you look at the market here in the 1 hour time frame, 625 is a big level. So if you're looking for shorts today, here's a short-term plays today. If you're looking for shorts, it's either this under 625 or puts back down lower, or it's this right there. That's it. Those are the two short side plays today on the S&P, right? That's it. Under 625 for puts or 631.50 for shorts. That's what I'm seeing today here on SPY. Of course, obviously, if the market does this today and grinds higher, right, this could be just a grinder day back in a supply zone, 631.5. And again, this would not be unexpected as well because this is a big downward day here Thursday, Friday session. It may be a little bit of a choppier day because of the big downside day. Okay, that's what I'm saying here on the SPY chart. Okay, ES. Same view in ES. I'm not going to do the long-term, short-term view here in ES, right? We're just going to move on. The long-term, short-term view does not matter. Let's just go over the short-term view here. The short-term view here is we have the same level of demand here. This is SPY 625 here. Okay, SPY 625 here is very critical. This is your demand below here in SPY. This is also 6,300 ES. The level to watch for demand this morning is right there. That's where our demand is. Do not be short. Even though you saw some crazy downside yesterday's session and in this pre-market morning, right? You don't really want to be short back into the 6,300 ES, 625 SPY, okay? If you're looking for shorts today, it's got to be something like this. This is very important. It's got to be something like, and this level here is not even important. The big level for me today is going to be this previous session low, 63.55. It's going to be looking for short-term plays here off of this supply, right? Or it's going to be trading shorts back under this demand. That's it, right? Let's make this a very easy scenario. Trading is all about these if-then statements, right? If SPY is above this level right now, right, we are not shorting. Very important. But if it does this and goes back in a supply zone, then I'm looking for shorts to see if I can get a confirmation short there, and I can look for a move down lower, right? If we're back down here again, I'm not short here. This is the zone I'm not short in. If we lose back under 6,300, then I'm short in a downside move. Again, if-then statements. If we are above this level of 63, I'm not shorting until we're back at this level over here. Then I'm looking for shorts. And if we are back below 63, I'm looking for shorts again. Okay. The idea about trading this morning and any day, right, any session, is if-then statements, right? If we are back in a supply, we're probably looking for shorts. If we're back under demand, we're probably looking for shorts. If we see us break above this 6355, then there is a thesis for longs back in the highs here, 6,400, right? That's what I'll be watching for longs. That's probably the only long side trade I see here on the ES chart, okay? That's what I'm seeing here on ES and SPY. Again, big levels across the board, but I want you guys to be aware of both the long-term idea and the short. Please understand this, right? This is so important. You must differentiate the long-term ideas I talk about here on the live stream with the short-term ideas I talk about on the live stream, right? I'm going to talk about Amazon longs today. But that does not mean to go buy 0 DTE Amazon longs. It does not mean that, right? There is a difference between your long-term idea here on SPY and ES and your short-term idea here on SPY and ES. The long-term idea on SPY and ES is still very much so bullish, right? This is still bullish as hell. And 613 pullback is your daily demand we're looking for longs off of, right? But the short-term idea does not really look so bullish, right? This is a very easy look for shorts on a pop type day, right? So again, differentiate the ideas here. You must understand that, okay? On the Qs, yesterday it was about 572, right? 572 was the key level. If you guys recall, I said that the one thing I said, the biggest thing I said yesterday was, I am looking for longs off 572, right? And this is what I did yesterday at 9:35 in the morning. As soon as we pulled back to my demand zone 572, and this is so important as well. Is it doesn't mean, okay, so we have a level here at 572. It doesn't mean I just go long at 572 right off the gate. You wait for some sort of confirmation. You wait for some sort of reaction off your level. And the reaction I was looking for was this right here, right? As soon as we sort of came into my level here at 945, we broke down underneath it and reclaimed it. I longed here at 571.9, and I got a little upside trade back in the 573.5. This doesn't seem like a big move, right? Intraday. But this was actually a pretty nice, sizable trade yesterday. This is almost $1.70 move yesterday on the Qs. And again, this is what we spoke about pre-market yesterday. We said, hey, if we are above 572 on the QQQ, look for longs, right? And if we were above it, that's what we did, right? As soon as market opened, we pulled back this level, and that was your best opportunity for long side. But then again, what happened yesterday? Well, bears took control. We lost back under 572, and not only did we lose under 572 here, we then broke down under 572 and retested 572 for a downside trade. This is why levels define your bias. If we were bullish with a capital B above 572, then what are we under 572? We're bearish, okay? It's just very logical. Trading is very logical, right? And this is why I love this, is because there is a reason to be bullish yesterday, and then there was a reason to flip bearish yesterday, right? And now, I didn't catch anything yesterday in shorts. I did not take a single put play in my entire portfolio yesterday's session. But it doesn't mean we had it wrong, right? We had the beautiful long side trade at the open, but the winner yesterday, the failure point yesterday that came in was the afternoon sell under 572. And this is again why you must be aware that it's not simply just coming in with a bull bias right off the gate. It's just not. You have to understand trading is about defining where you were bullish and where you were bearish, and then acting upon that, right? And so this is the key thing yesterday. The key flip was back under 572 yesterday, and that's why the market's bearish this morning, okay? Now, what happens now on Qs? That's all yesterday. It's not important. What's important now on the Qs is, in the short term, hey, in the short term, this is a pretty big failure, right? In the short term, this is a very aggressive failure across the market on the Qs, And at this point on the QQQ, you probably are looking for shorts back into supply, right? The most logical supply today in the Qs is this 564 level, right? So if you're looking for shorts today, 564 is probably it. Now, I don't love this today. To be honest with you, I loved 572 yesterday. That was my main level. Today, I probably am not trading the QQQ. I just won't do it. But if you like the QQQ, watch 564 for shorts. That's the top watch today for short side trades. We have support here at 558.5, excuse me. Now, again, just like that SPY chart, you want to see us back under 558.5 for shorts back into 552. Okay, this is what I'm watching for short side trades today. Either rejections back at supply or breakdowns under support. That is it today on the Qs. Mostly bear side thesis here. Mostly bear side thesis here in the short term. The long-term view, again, just to look at the Qs here for a second, is the fact that, hey, hold on a second, 541 pullback is logical, right? 541, 541, 541, right? Zoom out for a second, right? Let's just understand this. Look at this market here on the Qs. Let's not be surprised by this, right? Look at the beautiful double top highs here turning into a breakout here at 541. If you look at this chart right now, okay, you look at this chart right now in the Qs, is this chart bullish or bearish on the Qs on the daily, right? You see a high here, you see a high here, you see a failure, a sort of rejection play again here at 541, a breakout, a retest here. If we pull back to 541 on the Qs, if we pull back to 541, 542 on the Qs, then this is a logical pullback long spot. This is a beautiful demand zone on the Qs, and I'm watching that again for pullback longs. Somebody said, why? Nobody was my mentor, by the way, CR. There was no mentor for me, so I don't know where that's coming from. Anyway, so, and if that's coming from anybody else, you should be questioning that person. Anyway, so, moving on. Nvidia. Let's talk about our setups for today's session. Nvidia. Big downside under 180. This, in my opinion, is a massive failure under support. Okay, 180 is a big level yesterday, and that is still the big level today. Now, here's the issue, okay? We're talking about some long-term ideas in SPY and Qs, and it's still being bullish, but the short-term being bearish. On Nvidia, you look at this chart, and I have a hard time going long in this chart right now, right? The reason why I'm looking at this that way is because as long as we are under 175 on the Nvidia chart, I don't like this for longs at all, okay? So watching 175 today like a hawk. If we are under 175, we're bearish. If we're below 175, we're bullish. Where does Nvidia probably pull back to at this point? At this point, after a big downside day across the market, a lot of today's session is going to be about being a data collector, right? It's not going to be all about who's taking the first trade this session, right? Under 175 here in Nvidia, you can see highs, the breakout level. What this has done is it's trapped a lot of buyers here. Buyers being trapped, buyers being trapped, buyers being trapped. Under 175 is no longer bullish, okay? This is the level you must understand today. If we are above 175, you could technically look for some scalp longs, right? But if you're below 175, look for shorts and a downside play, right? 175, downward play, back to 171. If we're above 175, upward, back to 180. Again, I know this doesn't really provide you much value because I'm looking at this and it's like basically look for longs above level or shorts below level. And I know it, right? But this is the only thing we must do this morning, right? It's simply on Nvidia. It's about waiting to see what we do here on 175. If we're above it, bullish. If we're below, bearish. Okay. AMD. And this is, again, this is what we're talking about. This is what we've been talking about for a long time in AMD, right? AMD needs the 162. What's happening today in AMD is a necessary sell-off. 162 pullback long. This is the big level to watch out for today's session. If we can pull it to 162 today, then that's your long spot today here in AMD. Again, if it may happen today, this could happen. This could be your beautiful Friday gift. This would be a Christmas gift come August 1st, right? Or if you celebrate other holidays, whatever holiday it is, again, it could be whatever holiday it is for you. It's a celebration. It's a gift for you this morning here on Friday, right? Friday morning, early holiday gift here. 162 pullback long. That's my main spot today here in AMD. Again, if this happens, this could actually be a swing trade, right? 162 pullback long, right? And again, this is the long-term view here. And what does that mean? it does mean we could see some downside today, right? It does mean back under in the short term, back under 170, right? Back under this 170, which we're seeing right now pre-market. It could mean we see some selling pressure back in 160s. This is what logically could happen today. But again, that's a short-term view. The long-term view is demand bounce, right? The long-term view is 162 pullback long for demand. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing here in AMD. Moving on, Amazon. Record earnings, and I have been an Amazon follower for a long time. Amazon is a core position in my portfolio, and seeing this earnings report makes me want to make it even a bigger core position in my portfolio, right? Amazon is obviously selling off at a very big technical level. You can see here, big technical level. Obviously, this is, of course, happening, right? The earnings sell-off is happening right into that major all-time high supply. But what I'd be looking for today's session here in Amazon is, can we pull back to our major technical support below, right? For longs here on Amazon, I am watching for a pullback long to 205. That's what it is for me. The big level here I have in Amazon, all these smaller intraday nonsense levels we developed in the past few months, the most important level for me here in Amazon is 205. 205 to 206.50. It is these highs, these lows over here, these highs over here, and these series of lows over here. A pullback to this level is the most logical pullback long spot for me to be developing a longer term position here. That, however, is the long-term view. The short-term view here on Amazon is, hey, I mean, big aggressive sell, right? Where's the retest rejection short, right? Big downside day on earnings here into Thursday. Friday morning, you should be looking for the pop and fade, right? And again, this is kind of the theme of today's session is, hey, long-term view bullish, but short-term view bearish, right? So again, if you're looking for anything on Amazon, it's probably pop and fades. The main pop and fade spot today on Amazon is probably going to be your 224, right? So look for 224 pop and fades. I have 220 as a level as well, but that's not my big level. What I'm watching for today on Amazon is either going to be a 224 pop and fade or even a 230 pop and fade. 230 pop and fade would be a very beautiful high conviction short today, which again, I don't think it's going to happen, but that's your pop and fade level, right? 230 pop and fade, 224 pop and fade. That's what I'm watching for going into my morning here in Amazon. So I know this morning is not going to be a session that is friendly for new traders. It's very important, right? You guys have to understand that. This is not a session where you're going to be, here's the thing, right? The problem with big downside days like yesterday, across the board on SPY, ESQs, AMD, Nvidia, Amazon, Apple, everything, right? The problem with these big downside days is everybody wants to get in short right now. But the issue with that is it's hard to short back into demand lows. So everyone's waiting for pop and fades, but the pop and fades might take a long time. So be aware of that today. I want you to be aware of these things, right? Be aware of where those big supports are in SPY and Qs and AMD and everything you're watching, but also be open to pop and fades. Joshua, I will look at that CRWV. I will look at that chart for you as well, and we'll take a look at that as well. So Apple, okay, Apple 212 big level, okay? Apple 212 big level. I actually added Apple shares yesterday. I don't know if you guys, if you're in the chat, I added Apple shares yesterday around 208. Apple is something that I think is Apple's gold, right? Apple is literally just like a beautiful gold sort of substitute, right? What I mean by that is like Apple is basically just the gold standard of stock, right? So for me, if I'm moving money into, if I'm selling, maybe selling some Nvidia, selling some AMD, right, selling Tesla, right? If I'm going to move money somewhere, it's either going to be in some sort of high yield savings account or it's going to be in Apple, right? And for me right now, I'm moving some of that into both, and Apple is one of them. Okay, Apple I think long term is still beautiful, right? It's been suffering for a while, but this is still a beautiful stock. In the short term, 212 is your big level. If they can get above 212, there could be a scalp here, right? Above that 212 level, look for longs here. Look for this little break and retest trade back in the highs here, 216. That's what we'll be watching here on Apple's chart. Okay, guys, we need to move fast. We are moving way too slow. You guys have not questioned me. Nobody's questioning me in the chat. No one's like, Brett, what's going on over here, right? Nobody is here saying that I'm taking forever. Tesla, okay, Tesla 300 big. Again, this is just everything this morning. Is big support below 300, big resistance above here 310. Look for pop and fades here 310, downside move, or look for 300 downside trade, right? That's it. That's all I have here in Tesla. Of course, 310 is your big level. If you're above 310, look for longs back in highs, right? Scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3, right? That's what I'm watching for today in Tesla. Again, I don't plan to trade Tesla today, but if I am trading it, look for pop and fade 310 or look for shorts back under 300. Those are the two things I'm seeing here on Tesla this morning, okay? Right, we got to move on. CRWV, yeah, this guy's slow. I know I'm slow. CRWV, should you do shorts in CRWV? I mean, it's hard to say that, Josh. What I would say here on CRWV is daily. This is a crazy daily chart. You can see here we have big support here at 101. We have big support here at 65. The big thing to watch here for this chart here in CRWV is, can we get back below this 102 level, right? If we're back below 102, that's where you can look for shorts. But I don't know. I mean, for me, this is a tough short, right? It's a tough short back into this support zone. I think I would want to see us back under 102 for shorts, right? That's what I'd be looking for today here on CRWV, okay? TGT. Target. Watching for longs on target, right? I mean, this is what I'm watching for longs on target. 90 is my main long spot on target. I'm building a pretty big size here in this position. I really like target for long term. The reason why is because I love this. First of all, I love the financials on target really strong. It's also a beautiful daily chart, right? Beautiful weekly daily chart back in a big demand zone here at 89, 90. I'm looking for longs back into this demand zone, okay? PLTR. Guys, anybody trolling me, if there's anybody trolling us in the chat, you got to be something wrong with you, right? Let's not do that. Go somewhere else. There's a million other streams to go troll into. This is not the stream to be doing that, right? There are other people to do that with, not me, right? No drama. People are doing all this crazy stuff. Here. I'm like reading the chat this morning. Everyone's crazy. Okay, so moving on. What are we doing at Riot? All right, a little bit of a Bitcoin name here. 12.0 big level. 12.0 big level. I mean, this is the level I have here in Riot. If you lose 12.0 back into 11, I mean, obviously, right, Bitcoin's probably moving down with the market, right? Bitcoin's moving down with the market, but again, this is not a sell that scares me in Bitcoin, okay? It's still bullish, right? You're still seeing lows and lows and lows. I know they're technically lower lows here, but it's still a bullish formation here on the 1 hour time frame here in Bitcoin. So I look at Riot, right, with that mindset is just don't be short back in 12.0, right? 12.0 is still support here in Riot. Do not be short back in 12.0. If it loses 12.0, fine, downside back into 11. But for now, this is still big support down below, okay? Hood. On the hood chart, hood 102. Hood 102. That's your big level. If we're under 102, we're bearish. If we're above 102, we're bullish. Right now, we are under 102. So look for downside trades, okay? 102 is your big level. PLTR. Guys, I mean, PLTR is still strong, right? PLTR is still strong. I mean, here's the thing, right? Is if you want PLTR to actually structure lower, you need to see it break structure, okay? And PLTR has just not broken structure. The most recent structure we have in PLTR is 146, right? You can see the highs here and the low here at 146. If you want PLTR to break down, 146 for puts, that would be your short side trade back into 125. And again, if this happens, right, you guys know PLTR is all about 125. If 146 breaks down, 125 failure, right? That's where we go to. But again, 125 is big support, so be careful back to 125. Big level. Guys, I don't care. I really don't care about this. And trust me, I really don't care. The reason why I'm even saying is because I don't want anybody else. Negativity in the morning before we trade is the worst thing. For me, it doesn't bother me. I don't care about it. But it's gonna bother you guys. You're gonna see like what's going on with this person, right? Don't even worry about it. We're just gonna remove them all. It does not matter. Nobody is doing this on YouTube right now. Nobody right now on YouTube is doing this, right? So that's why you guys are here. That's seriously, right? I probably give too much information, right? I probably shouldn't even be doing this anymore. But again, I'm gonna keep doing it because I enjoy it. But the trolls, just let them troll. They eventually will realize there's nothing here to do. Okay, that's it. I think we can stop here, guys. It's 9:08. It's a beautiful Friday, August 1st. It is August 1st. Do not mess around. Just like yesterday was July 31st, today is August 1st. If you had a tough July, if you had a good July, it doesn't matter where your July was. It's a new month, right? It's a clean slate. Let's start the month off strong. Guys, have a happy and safe trading session. I will see you all for live trading. Bye, guys.